and we're here to do One Piece hot takes pretty much because I feel like we're about to say some controversial things that might get our One Piece card revoked. Uh, I am part of a group on YouTube, and uh I brought up a very controversial take, and if I'm being honest, if I'm being honest, it was mainly negative. Like it was very negative. Being
Oh,
honest,
really?
yeah, the hot take that I took, and it was based on the commanders, because I brought up that um, so I have a problem, and before we get into the newer chapter and everything, I guess we can like kind of like talk around a little bit and talk about what's been going on and everything. But I have a problem with the way that Cracker was taken down. Right? I love teamwork. Don't get me wrong, but there's I feel like we got cocked pretty hard with Oven first of all because
Okay.
we didn't get that much Oven action, and then we got cocked with Cracker. I would have loved to see. I feel like if Nami wasn't there, Luffy would have been done for. But I'm one of those people who believes hardcore that Nami does not get the spotlight as much as she should.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say the entire Whole Cake Island
What?
was a cuck.
What were you saying?
I was saying I'm gonna go ahead and just say that the entire Whole Cake Island was a cuck.
Yeah, I completely agree. I hard agree or easy agree because for me the problem that I was having it's that with Whole Cake Island we got Germa, right?
Right.
And we got Germa, and I feel like we didn't get enough of Germa, if that makes sense. Oh,
Now, without doing spoilers, I think we're about to get a whole lot more.
oh no, 100. I agree, but
But yes, speaking strictly about Whole Cake Island, yes, I couldn't agree more.
yeah, Whole Cake Island to me, it's. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I wish Whole Cake Island was longer because Whole Cake Island was a rescue mission, and uh, I'm very intrigued of how things are gonna go down where we're at right now because there's a lot going on. And I saw Luffy Gear 4 hit Big Mom and nothing happened. And I was like, okay.
Yeah,
Uh
they did clash. As far as clashes go, that was pretty early on for them to have a somewhat of an even clash.
yeah, that is I don't know, I'm having self-doubts.
Well, my thing is, did Big Mom feel the need to apply any Conqueror's coding to her hit?
Yeah.
Because we know here's the deal, and I've said this before in a One Piece group. We've seen Luffy decimate Kaido,
Hmm.
and I mean in the sense that he hit that man from above with an elephant gun, and anime definitely makes things more flagrant than they actually are.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he decked Kaido from the top, and I honestly believe had it not been for Kaido's tough skin, his scales, and Big Mom has the same thing. Her skin is impenetrable as well. Um, had it not been for that, I believe he could have been on at least even ground with them. But to get past that exterior shell that Big Mom has going on, that Kaido has going on, he's now more in that area. But at that time of that clash, I don't. We know he didn't have the Conqueror's coding going on. So did Big Mom even feel the need to apply it herself? I'm not sure. She may, and we know it comes down to willpower. So the question is, did Big Mom care enough to really lay it out in that fight? Did she feel the need to? Because if she didn't have the willpower to do it, then she wouldn't apply the Conqueror's hockey coding. And if she didn't do that, then essentially all Luffy did is match a meteor. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a meteor's worth of force.
I see Big Mom's weird because the way we were introduced to the emperors was phenomenal. I think they power scale the hell out of these emperors very quick. And the problem that I see constantly is realistically, should Luffy take down Kaido 1v1 by himself? Because in the latest chapter, of course, we get the whole he's getting tired, like his powers are weakening, right? But
Yes,
we also
yes.
know that he, in some way, shape, or form, is immortal. Allegedly, right? We know that he's only been hurt once, which was the slash. Um,
Right.
so then it makes you think, if the Marine, how many times did the Marines catch this guy and they weren't able to kill him? And on top of that, look at all the enemies in the past that he's gone against, and none of them have been able to kill him. So even if Luffy is physically stronger than Kaido, can he still get the job done? Because can Kaido? And I think Kaido said it best when he said, "There's only room for one dragon." Does Kaido have to die? Because if they take on the Impel down, or if they go to arrest him, he's just gonna get out again.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that completely. In fact, I was going to go on to say that I'm not sure if Luffy's going to kill this guy here.
Yeah,
And then if he doesn't, the only thing that would really set a precedence is the SSG. Does the SSG
yeah,
have and we don't know, so
yeah.
I guess it's a true question. Does the SSG have something in their possession that can retain Kaido if he does get beaten this time?
Yeah.
Because they've eliminated the entire warlord system for it, and so they have to have something up their sleeve. I don't think simple. Well, we know simple sea prism stones chains. They're not going to hold him. We saw that they weren't going to hold Big Mom. So there's got to be something else going on there that
You
says,
know what I think they
okay,
are? The SSG.
yeah, what's
So
up?
what if Kuma was a prototype
Hmm.
of, you know what I mean? So are you familiar with Naruto by any chance?
Vaguely,
Okay.
unfortunately. I know that's
Oh,
a sin on my anime channel,
uh,
but
nah, it's okay. It's you know, I'm not gonna say anything controversial right now. So allegedly, what I was gonna say is, do you mind if I say something that could spoil?
that's no, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're completely
So
good.
in Naruto, there's a jutsu called an ability that reanimates a dead body as long as you keep the body intact. Um, the body that gets reanimated back keeps their power and all their knowledge and everything, right? The
Okay.
way that Kuma was transformed and never explained at all makes me think that the SSG program or project, whatever it is, to me, it might be a version of like an Android version of famous figures from the past.
I can agree with that, and not only can I agree with that, which would set precedents for getting rid of the warlords. I mean, if they're printing their own warlords,
Yeah,
warlords, then what do they need the living ones for? Same with
yeah,
Kuma. You know, they didn't get rid of Kuma completely, but after they made the pacifistas,
yeah.
they didn't need the main Kuma as much. With that being said, before anyone has a comment about that, I still believe the main Kuma is more powerful than the pacifistas. Sure,
Yeah.
but with an army of pacifistas, you're not relying on one guy to walk around. And I will add on to that and say, to sort of build off what you said,
Yeah.
not only is that possible, but two things. One, we know even though it was supposedly a failure that Vegapunk can create artificial devil fruits as long as he's got the lineage factor or whatever super science he's putting into that. So, and we know that devil fruits can be imbued into inanimate objects, technology, etc.
Like
So,
Benny.
with that being said, if they're recreating some of the great figures of the past and then taking something, I'm not going to say like they're just copying pasting Kaido's devil fruit, but they could have very well taken one of the admiral's devil fruit, and the admirals would have willingly gave that up in the name of justice.
Yep.
So you could have a couple of magma guys running around. You could have, dare I say, people running around at this at freaking light speed almost. It, it the possibilities are endless.
So I like that a lot because I learned that a good way to power scale the straw hats. I have a theory that I'm brewing, and I'll say it here first. Uh the SSG could be essentially the Kuma project because the Kuma project was never completed, right? And then we saw how it ended. That was just one that we knew about. And look how much damage the pacifistas could do, right? So then I started thinking to myself, right? for years I've been saying that, and I've been wrong. I've been wrong. I've been proven wrong plenty of times about this part. For years, I've been saying that a lot of the main or the beginning here villains that Luffy went against are very, very iconic. Um, they're weak. They're weaker people.
Yeah.
However, enhance them, and in theory, they can be very dangerous. Captain Kuro, of course, was very fast. You know, in Zero Village, he was the Usopp villain for people who don't remember.
Right.
Captain Kuro was hella fast, right? So now, what happens if he becomes part of this SSG program, assuming that that's what the program is, and they turn him into another pacifista that has speed? And same thing goes for um, Arlong. I always thought that Arlong would end up with Blackbeard because if you take Senor Pink's Devil Fruit and you give that to Arlong, you probably have one of the most powerful villains in the entire One Piece world because he'll be able to swim on land, which is something that he can naturally already do on water,
I
which
can
will
get
make
behind that.
Arlong probably dangerous. So the first thing when the first thing that came to my mind for years has always been like, what if we can get Kuro? What if we can get Arlong? What if we could get even Don Krieg? We never saw Don Krieg again. Jin, who made a promise to see the Straw Hats in the Grand Line, never happened. Um,
I
I
want to say Don Krieg was one of the first to use technology too, as
Yep,
far as he had nothing else going for him. But just to say that real quick, so I
yep,
could totally see that.
100%. And like part of me was hoping that Don Krieg, I don't. It's I'm gonna sound so naive. Part of me wanted Don Krieg to be king for the longest time. Uh because of a devil fruit, because Don Krieg didn't have a devil fruit, and then I was like, realistically, that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? But for the longest time, everything in me, the second King was shown, I'm like, how badass would it be to show a past villain in the new world and they climb up the ranks? I mean, ideally, and I know this character's a joke character. We have Buggy, who was fodder,
But
has always been fodder, but he's always at the right place at the right time.
honestly, what you're saying is spot on. That's what the people want to see
Yeah,
because the entire theme of One Piece is saying, you know what, it doesn't. And this goes for DBZ and almost any battle manga. But I'd say One Piece is almost the best, if not top three, at doing it.
yeah,
The people want to see people throw away the precursor to what is who's allowed to be on top.
yeah,
People like seeing a character say, "Forget that. I don't care who's on top. I'm gonna rise to the top." We're seeing that with Kobe. We're seing that,
I'm up.
and you know yeah, Hamelpo. He Kobe specifically, he's come a very long way. I mean, 45% of the series through, he was crying for begging for people to stop, and then 80% of the series through, all of a sudden he was swimming fast as a shark and stopping missiles, and
Yeah,
we haven't seen anything too crazy, but nonetheless we saw him have observation
yep,
hockey early on, and so yeah, I could totally see with what you're saying. People want to see that, and I think that wouldn't be bad for the story at all.
yeah. I think my original theory was Blackbeard was going to collect a lot of the villains that Luffy and crew took down because they're all going to share a hatred for Luffy. That was like years. So we're talking about like 7 years ago. That was my theory, and that Blackbeard was going to collect people like Don Krieg. And I was like, if you give because Blackbeard's collecting devil fruits, right? So my
Yeah.
theory was like, if Blackbeard is collecting devil fruits and you get Mister One's devil fruit to Kuro, who's fast AF, bro, that's next level.
He's
Um,
already got, and I can't say for sure. I mean, he's already got. His name escapes me all of a sudden. Moria. He's. I don't know if we don't know if Moria's there in the live. We don't know if Moria's
yeah,
there or left and escaped. But I'm willing to bet that Moria didn't escape. I'm willing to bet he maybe not there held there prisoner, but it's like, hey, you can try to leave if you want to, and we can kill you, or you can stay here and join. We've already killed Absalom. What do
yeah,
you want to do?
yeah, I can see that.
So
Um,
what I'm saying is that would support what you're saying even more as far as collecting
yeah,
people Luffy has defeated.
yeah, I think that because if these people share a hatred of Luffy, Kuro being one of them. It's even Lafitte. Wait, no, Van Auger, the sniper. The
Yeah.
first thing that when Don Flamingo was taken down, the first thing that came to my mind is Don Flamingo's Devil Fruit on Von Auger being able to shoot strings. It's way better than the way that Don Flamingo was using it because Van Auger's allegedly the best marksmanship. Uh, and a fight between Luffy and or not Luffy, sorry, a fight between Usopp versus somebody like Van Auger. Well, Van Auger has a Devil Fruit like that will be very iconic and very like power scaling for Usopp himself. So then I
Agreed.
started thinking Lafitte, another one. I forgot what Lafitte's name is, but it's French for either wings or flight or something. I 100% believe that Marco's Devil Fruit is going to go straight to Lafitte. I just see it happening. Think about Blackbeard being part of Whitebeard's crew and full blown knowing what everybody's like is packing. You know what I mean? Like he knows what devil fruits, who has what. Everybody always said Shiryu could possibly get Diamond Josu's blade so that Zoro can cut everything in the world, including Diamond, and like, but that's none of this has happened, right? So in my theory, started thinking, well, these people still have to exist. There's no way that these people just roll over. And then I started thinking, well, Kobe had a glow up, and that's not impossible. And Kobe had a glow up in less than a year because the first time we see Kobe, he looks a lot different. He has a scar. He's taller, and that was less than a year from when Luffy met him. And I'm like, Kobe had a glow up in a year.
Yeah, it was night and day.
Yeah, and Kobe was weaker than Arlong. He was weaker than Kuro. He was weaker than Elvira. All these characters have huge potential to come back, and they might not be Luffy's villains, but they can be people that Chopper, they can be people that Nami, Robin, and all these people take down just to power scale them. And I think those characters are important. And part of me wants to see them back because their gimmick was pretty bad. Like Jin, my God, Jin's gimmick was amazing, and I hope they bring him back. And he made a promise and whatnot. So I'm like, I'm hoping Oda doesn't forget him. Uh,
Yeah, he was a cool character. That's the one the fandom does want.
Yeah, I hear about him more than I hear a lot. I hear more about him than I hear about like other villains. And of course, there's the popular theory. I don't know if you heard that Fujitora is going to bring down a moon, which Enel is going to be riding on. Have you heard about that?
I have not, but
Yeah,
I have heard about NL heading to the moon,
yeah,
and I've seen Fujitori bring down a meteor. So I could, yeah, that's not far off.
yeah. But going back to our first what we were talking about originally, do you think Luffy will take Kaido out by himself, no help?
And so that goes back to me calling Luffy a Yonko freshman.
Yeah.
Do I think so? No, I don't think so at all. From beginning to end.
By the way,
So
I'm about to clickbait everybody. I'm about to make that the title. Luffy
okay.
Yanko freshman. All right, go ahead. Sorry, I just
So no. I think that's great. I love it. So you got. I mean, so as I was saying earlier, I don't think, with the exception of one or two, maybe, I don't think that there are any first commanders that can beat Luffy one on one, full and fair fight, no help at this point. I think from what I've seen of him swapping in and out of Gear Fourth seamlessly, I think with seeing that and with the state of his current observation hockey, I don't think. I think he would win even against Katakuri, and that's a big one. What if? And that might stir some grumblings, and what have you. Katakuri's great with his mochi mochi, but the issue was that Luffy was at the low level of observation hockey. He's always had it, but it was nothing compared to what Katakuri had. And then by the time that fight was over, our boy, who specializes in adapting
yep.
mid-fight, had pretty much more or less, I'm not going to say mastered, but he had more or less passed the final exam for observation hockey, in my opinion. And with that quality of observation hockey combined with him being able to swap in and out of Gear Fourth and thus consequently saving hockey as well, And combined with all of that, and him being able to apply Conqueror's coding to his hits without being in Gear Fourth, and that's without. I think that he's a match for Katakuri fair game. And with that base established, I don't think, with the exception of Ben Beckman, and I'm not saying Ben Beckman could be him, but with it, just because I don't know about Ben Beckman yet, I don't who does, but I don't I don't think that there's any first commanders that could beat Luffy. And if that's the case, that puts Luffy at the weakest at the weakest Yonko level. I mean, what else could I say? He's past all first commanders. First commanders could get stronger and maybe compete with him, but I can't say he's not in the conversation of Yonkos at this point. You might saying that he's a freshman might even be a little bit premeditated, but I'm not sure how else to put it because he's out of the conversation with first commanders in my opinion. He's past the final stage of that, and if there's no middle ground between first commanders and Yonko, then what else is he?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting take. See, I'm at the thing where so the problem with Katakuri is that even with Luffy's guys, my dogs are barking in the background. Apologize for that. Whenever somebody walks to the front door, they're very protective. They're literally like less than 2 feet tall.
I can't even hear him on
Oh,
my
really?
side, so
Uh, so anyways, my problem with Luffy versus Katakuri, and I think that Oda, let me talk wrestling for a second. In wrestling, when you
sure.
have somebody like The Rock going against somebody like Stone Cold, for example, you don't want neither guy to lose fair because it makes the other guy look bad. And in wrestling, it's all about making each other look good, even when you're losing, right? So that's why you have finishes where like somebody will cheat, or you'll have a finish where somebody interferes, right? That's
Right.
what they did with Katakuri and Luffy. They needed to protect both Luffy and they needed to protect Katakuri. So in order to do that, they had the interference. And the second I saw that as a wrestling fan, I was like, Oda, you sly son of a bitch. I see what you did there right away. So he also did that with Big Mom. I mean, there's a lot of interactions between Big Mom before any other character can even get any licks in. Big Mom was already like getting jumped by like Capone,
Right.
Luffy, like Germa, and all these other people. So the way they did Katakuri versus Luffy lets me know that there has to be a rematch. Um,
It's every fight. It's the alliance versus
yeah,
ex villain, or it's always the alliance. Whatever alliance Luffy has going on for that arc, or even just in that moment, it's always the alliance with Luffy leading versus blank. And granted, you can't say an alliance. I mean, you can say an alliance is Yonko level, because more or less that's what the world looks like to Luffy. So I'll go ahead and grant that. But we're not talking about Luffy's alliance, unfortunately. We're talking about Luffy, and
yep.
and if Luffy doesn't have that alliance, is he capable of bringing home the bread? Is he capable of pulling off a one-on-one against first commanders, especially against people like Marco, who we just saw? Now, obviously he had already been fighting a little bit, but Marco was able to more or less handle. He was overpowered eventually, but he was able to more or less handle two Yonko commanders at one time. With a guy like that who can also heal himself, is Luffy able to go one on one with him? I personally do think yes, because we know that Conqueror, we know that hockey is a direct counter for Devil Fruits,
Yeah.
and with him now applying correctly with Conqueror's hockey coding, the sky's the limit. Really, it should be not easy, but it should be within the realm of possibility for him to knock these guys out because his previous hits were devastating to some of these people, but they weren't. They lacked that oomph. They lacked the finishing hit inside of them. And now with this new precedence of him being able to split skies and what have you, I say why shouldn't he be able to knock these guys out? Surely only time will tell. But just at first guess, I can't see why something that powerful wouldn't be enough to compete with these people.
That no, that's a good take on it because I I might be I'm gonna be wrong, but I don't see Luffy taking down Kaido in the slightest. I think Luffy
No.
can do. I think there's one thing that Kaido has over Luffy, and it has nothing to do with power. It's experience.
Yes.
And I think experience outbeats. And I think an example of this is I recently have a friend that got into One Piece, and when he got to Sabaody to the war, I told him for the first time ever, this is when Luffy takes an L, and he technically takes an L in Thriller Bark. If it wasn't for Zoro, Luffy was a goner. Then he takes an L in Sabaody. Then he takes another L when going into Amazon Lily against Boa's sisters. Then he takes yet another L and Impel Down to both Magellan and Blackbeard. Then he proceeds to take like probably 7 to 10 L's through Marineford. And I think that was a good way of showing that like these people, it's not just that they're stronger, they're more experienced than Luffy. They've been doing this
Right.
for
He
years.
lacks a lot of
Yeah.
that experience.
And I made a video I had to delete it, but I made a video a long time ago where I talk about that if One Piece doesn't if One Piece doesn't have another time skip, something's wrong. Because realistically, Luffy should not be in the power. He should not be in a position taking down Yonkos by himself, 1v1
Truth.
without help. Because then, I mean, ideally, Luffy will be the youngest Yonko. You know what I mean? That means that Luffy, even the idea that he's a reincarnation of like Joy Boy and even all these things, I still don't think Luffy should be 1v1 taking down these Yonkos like it's nothing. Uh,
I mean, he can't. I'll just go ahead and say it. He can't.
yeah,
There's
I
no
agree.
way. There's no way he can compete with these guys.
Especially when the way that the fight with Cracker went, if Luffy wasn't there, that would have been the end of the story. Sorry, if Nami wasn't there. If Nami wasn't there to help Luffy, Cracker would have won. Uh,
There's no doubt about that.
yeah, and I think we need to have another time skip. I think after Wano, if Kaido gets taken down via Dragon showing up, via Shanks showing up, whatever it is, or even Big Mom, uh, there's gonna be a power shift. We literally, when Whitebeard died, there was a power shift, right? Um,
Right.
and it took 2 years to balance things out, and we can agree things are not even that balanced right now. So it's one of those things where if they do another time skip, and let's say it's 2 years, 2 maybe 3 years, and Luffy starts taking them down 100%, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. He trained,
Yeah.
now he knows what he's going against. But when you're training and you have no direction, then you're just training for no reason. You need to have a clear target of how do you know when you're strong enough to go against somebody like the likes. And we still have Blackbeard and we still have Shanks to worry about. And I think that as of this very moment, I'll do my research, but I need to see how much time has passed between them arriving in the new world and where they are now, because I wouldn't want a time skip, but I think that a time skip would be needed. There's no way Luffy can take down a Yonko by himself. I was talking to friends recently, and I do think that somebody has to show up to help him. Now, in the last chapter, of course, it did say that he's getting weaker, but I'm like, again, experience overthrows power in my opinion when it comes to the One Piece world, and we've seen it
Sure.
in the past. So that's where I stand with that. I think if there's a Yonko for Luffy to 1v1 and take down, it is Kaido. Um, because there's so much of Ace and Wano, and there's
Yeah.
so much, you have Yamato, which is probably one of the greatest characters introduced. um you have Kinamo, or not Kinamo, I'm sorry, you have Momonosuke. There's so many things that are attached to Luffy that I feel like Luffy needs to win this, but at the same time, Luffy's not doing this by himself. Even with Kaido weakened,
Right.
there's no way.
I would say, in my personal opinion, I would say after being stabbed, like he got stabbed by almost all of the uh, scabbards,
Yeah,
and obviously that wasn't, he stood right back up, no big deal, but it can be said that that took X percentage of life force off of his boss battle life bar.
yeah,
um, and then after that you had things like Law got in a good gamma shot on him. Luffy landed a good Rio Red Rock on him, and it was said that these things hurt. Even though he stood back up, it was still said that these things did hurt. And so even though he was tanking Yamato, he did, if I remember correctly, he did bleed out of the corner of his mouth
yeah.
from his fight with Yamato, and Yamato did land hits. We saw that, as well as I think Zoro landed a Dragon Twister on him, if I remember correctly. Uh, Various hits from very strong people that have just whittled down Kaido, and you can even, it's already been physically stated that he's getting weaker, just in the sense that his flame clouds are starting to
Yeah.
disperse under Onigashima. And so it's not a fair thing to say Luffy's gonna defeat Kaido one on one. He's going to, in reality, it's one person versus one person right now. But in big picture mode, it's definitely been, again, the Alliance versus Kaido.
So it's kind of well, actually, before that, let me read chat. Edson says another time skip. Nah, Edson, tell me why you wouldn't want another time skip, just so I can get your perspective. But going back to what you're saying, if you go back and you think about it, Doflamingo wasn't even a 101 because you had Law who did his gamma knife,
Yeah,
and this man had to restitch his organs together. Uh,
yeah.
Plus, whenever they did the Chambles and Luffy hit the Red Hawk on Doflamingo as well. So now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think any of Luffy's fights have been 1-on-1, other than Horty and Caesar. But Horty got fucked up by like the other Straw Hats.
This is true.
Yeah, so like I don't even count him as like an enemy of Luffy. And then you have Caesar, and I think Caesar was smart, but he wasn't a good fighter. I think that was fine. But generally, I think Luffy needs another Rob Lucci to show up, and I thought Karakuri was gonna be that for him. Rob Lucci was a great villain to show like, holy shit, Luffy's on another level. I remember reading Ennis Lobby and thinking to myself, Luffy just reached a new level. Like this man
Yeah.
is next level. I think Luffy needs his Rob Lucci of the New World. He needs to go against that person that there's no help. It's just Luffy and this person, 1v1, no gimmicks, no tricks, just a pure slugfest. And I think that will help us kind of pinpoint where Luffy's at. Uh, I have a strong feeling that either the Marines have to get involved, or Shanks or Dragon have to get involved. I don't think it's gonna
I
be Dragon.
I do think we're at the stage that I think after this, there's going to be a lot of exposition after this. Obviously, we're going to have to. I want fucking exposition after exposition on a lot of things. We need to know about Lunarians. We need
Yep.
to know about, we need to know what happened at the Reverie. We need to know about what happened. What's gonna happen at the Giants Island. But at the same time, even if it's Luffy and the Alliance versus Kaido, at the same time, if Luffy takes this dub, with just him and Kaido left now, if Luffy takes this dub, then in my opinion, that is grounds enough to stay. Hey, Antropolo, yo, what's going on, man? Thanks for coming. We're just talking One Piece here. Um, in my opinion, that's grounds enough to say who could really be a match, because we're obviously not going into another Yonko territory at this point after this match. It could be that we're in Shanks's territory and they meet up, and there's some sort of intensity there, but it's not going to be, a bad guy versus Luffy type deal. So
Yeah.
with that being said, we don't have any more Yonko territories to go into after this fight. If they're in fact going to go to the Giants Island, and there's a name for it, I'm sorry, chat,
Elbaf.
that. Oh yes, thank you, Elbaf. If we're indeed going to Elbaf after this, what's going to be the story, the plot there? I know Oda will do his thing. He always does deliver. But as far as us wondering, are they going to pull this off? In my opinion, the crew would have to head there without Luffy. Maybe the crew minus Zoro, or or something like that. Maybe Zoro and Luffy split off, and the crew heads to Elbaf because Elbaf, they do need Elbaf on their side, and someone has to go there. Then at least at that point, we could see maybe Sanji get into his genetics and start evolving, because I actually recently went back to Whole Cake Island and sort of reaffirmed the idea that uh, Sanji's powers are currently innate. They think that he was a failed experiment, but in reality, his powers are dormant, and he could very well end up being the most powerful out of all four siblings. On top of that, with his Germa suit and the hockey that he's learned versus his brothers and sisters, I think that if he were to lead the crew, obviously as not the leader but the de facto leader, over to Elbaf, then I think that would set up for a good arc. I think the crew is going to have to split up, and what that will do, it will do two things for us. It will allow us to see Nami's new powers, because obviously Nami is going to have her imbued staff after this with
Zeus.
say again.
Zeus.
Yes, with Zeus, she's gonna have her staff imbued with Zeus after this, clearly. So we're gonna have that going on. We're gonna have Sanji's new genetics, um,
Zoro's new sword.
Zoro's new sword. Although I do think Zoro will stick with Luffy for some reason. Zoro will have his new sword. Um, I'm forgetting names all of a sudden, even though it's my favorite fucking show. Um, Usopp is supposed to get hockey in Elbaf. That's the rumor, and I think that would set up for all those things to be. It would be a good reason for Nami to show out. It would be a good reason for Zoro to show out. It would be a good reason for Usopp to show out. I don't think that they're gonna go and fight Elbaf straight up, but I think that either another big bad could be headed to Elbaf to take it down, and they go there to confront the big bad to help Elbaf from getting taken down, and consequently Elbaf then joins the side with the alliance, further strengthening the alliance. I think that would be a great addition, and then what that would also do for us beyond those characters getting the light, we would then have Luffy on his own, maybe possibly with just Zoro only, and then we could sort of see what you've been talking about during this cast, as far as him doing something on his own. We could see him get a Rob Lucci. We could see Zoro even just sort of strut his stuff. I think we're gonna see Zoro maxed out. I personally believe, but by the end of this arc, we will see Zoro maxed out. I don't think we'll see Zoro defeated, but I finally think, because it's no secret that we haven't seen Zoro at his full potential ever, period. Besides against Mihawk, um, and that was forever ago.
Yeah,
He low diffed Piki. What was his name? Um, Not Pika.
Pika.
Is it Pika?
Yeah.
He didn't, he might not have low diff, but he mid diff Pika, in my opinion. Um, and then we didn't get to see much of him, obviously, in Whole Cake Island. Uh, and so, with all that being said, I think that Zoro will be maxed out here, and I think that he will be maxed out in the next arc too. But what I think that's gonna happen is we're gonna get to see Luffy one-on-one action, and we're gonna get to see more out of the crew after this. I think that we need to see that, and if we don't see that, it's gonna be a bit contrived.
Yeah. My boy in chat said Sanji's better than Zoro. You're about to open a can that's been open a lot of times. I will die in a hill. I'm not gonna say who I prefer. I actually like both guys. I think that you're on the right path though. I think Elbath could be a turning point. And one thing that's very Do you remember when Big Mom said, or when
Yeah,
people were claiming that she doesn't like giants?
yeah,
I think Elbaf could be a turning point for either the Straw Hat Alliance or whatever reason. There's two things that I think is happening. There's a character that's very important, and he's not even a Yonko. Everybody's forgetting about him, which
yeah.
is Buggy. I know Buggy's usually used as a joke character. Buggy was literally, if it wasn't for Buggy, Luffy couldn't have gotten out of Ample Down.
Oh, absolutely.
And if it wasn't for Buggy, the war, Luffy would have been dead. If it wasn't for him helping out and whatnot, Luffy would have been out, you know. So,
Now there's precedent. Not to cut you off, there's definitely precedence for Buggy to be the big bad. We know that Buggy isn't necessarily big bad to us as the audience, but there's definitely precedence for Buggy to be the big bad that's headed to Elbaf that
yep,
the rest of the crew has to stop. We know that Buggy's upset that his giant assassins, his mercenaries,
yep.
we know he's upset about that. We know that he learned that they pledged to Luffy's crew. We know that he's upset about that. So I could totally see Buggy being not per se the big bad. It would be actually, it's funny. It would be Buggy the alliance versus Luffy's alliance. It would, for the first time, it would be an alliance versus Luffy's alliance because we know Buggy doesn't pull enough weight for it to be the alliance versus Buggy.
Yeah.
So for the first time, it would actually be Buggy and his contrived crew versus Luffy's contrived crew, and I think that would actually be a pretty good setting.
So I think that just obviously Buggy was upset that he lost his best two moneymakers. We
Right.
don't know if he's going to follow Straw Hat. Even if he was to follow Straw Hat, how would he be able to find Straw Hat? Which is the thing that I always say it's not going to happen. However,
No one's heading to Wano. No one's
yeah.
pulling that off. So yeah, I agree with that.
However, uh, Buggy can just be washed up. Waves got him right place at the right time. I mean, we've seen Buggy always lands where he does. Where Buggy is literally an example of being at the right place at the right time, right? So I have,
I would say Buggy and Luffy they're not comparable because Luffy actually trains and is actually strong. But I would say Buggy and Luffy are comparable in the sense that they have main character energy. You know,
yeah,
people gravitate towards them. Whatever Luffy has inside of him that people see like, wow, you know, he's able to bring people together. Buggy has that going on
yeah,
too, whether people want to admit it or not. Look how far that he's gone,
yep,
and plenty of instances where he didn't have what it took on his own to pull it off, but because he had various people or tools willing to help him, willing to come to his aid, he was actually able to pull off those moments.
yeah.
And so I would say that Bucky has just as much, maybe a little bit less main character energy than Luffy, and because of that, I think he's a great villain, not only story wise but comedy wise, because it's like Luffy's been going up against people that didn't have that going on for them. They had a crew that they built, sure, but people weren't just willing to come to their aid, even though they didn't really have a reason to come to their aid like they do for Luffy and Buggy.
Yeah, I generally believe that Buggy's either accidentally washes up in Wano, Marines get there, Kaido got taken over, so Buggy slips or something, puts one foot on a Yonko, they take the picture, boom, new Yonko, Buggy took it down, or Buggy's going straight to Elbaf, to get his crown
Yeah.
back. That's the only two
Uh,
scenarios I see. I don't see, because I learned that with the Wano one, it sounds goofy enough, but that is literally what happened in the war. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like they saw him talking to Shanks. It was revealed that Buggy and Shanks were in the same crew with Rogers. Out of nowhere,
Right.
they gave him a Chichibukai position based on his on who he is alone. So just with that, the great and mighty Buggy, like he likes to call himself, can literally become a joke character. But because as a Yonko, he can have all the influence. His life does not change if he was
Right.
a Yonko. He's a liar, he's a manipulator, and he's a facade. You know what I mean? Everything about him's fake. but other people don't know that. They don't know how weak he
The
is.
Empire isn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He
the
is,
Empire.
but the Empire is not.
And that's why I've been saying, like, what better way to, because Buggy doesn't care about anything that's not money, right? Which is why we know that the One Piece is not money, because otherwise
Right.
he'll be going for it. However, him becoming a Yonko and getting a couple territories, Buggy's not that bad of a guy. He helped Shanks. He's helped Luffy multiple times. He has Elvira. He has all these characters that are all driven by money. So becoming a Yonko for him might not be that bad. He might tax the territories he has. Those territories might just give up just because of his name and his affiliation with both the Emperor, with Shanks and Whitebeard, or sorry, Rogers. And I think that if Buggy's not heading to Wano, I honestly I can see Oda giving Buggy an entire chapter of him just washing off at the beach, like walking in, he right place, right time, boom, snap a picture, new Yonko, or like Yonko
Yeah.
Slayer, or he gets some funny title like that, or he's going straight to Elbaf. That's the only
I could
thing.
totally see it.
Yeah, I don't see anything else with Buggy because whatever Buggy's next move is, it has to be related to Straw Hat in some way, shape, or form.
Well, we know he's not getting taken by the Marines simply out of plot convenience. He's got
Yeah.
way too much plot armor.
Yep.
And to piggyback on that, I don't think not that I don't think I know that Mihawk isn't getting taken by the Marines.
No.
Um, Weevil is questionable only because I'm not sure how much willpower he has.
We also don't
And
know anything
Bo,
about Weevil.
right, this is true, and we know that Weevil is actually a bit powerful, but we don't know the extent of that. So I'm putting a question mark on him, not because I don't think he has the strength, but just because I don't know how Oda's gonna write him.
Yeah.
I know how Oda's gonna write Mihawk. I don't know how exactly, but I know he's not going to write Mihawk that way. I know he's not going to write Buggy that way. Unfortunately, because of the way that he writes women at times, I also don't know how he's going to write Boa. I literally cannot guess if Boa is going to escape
Yeah, I'm
or not.
very interested on how
Um,
Ball is gonna go down because unlike the others, she has an entire like island.
yeah, yeah. So and she doesn't want to leave it. So and then on top of all that, Oda has a habit of I mean, it's not because I'm not saying he's sexist or anything like that. I definitely don't think so. But he has a habit of sort of letting female characters sort of take an L. Um, so I don't know how that's gonna go with her.
I see that. I
But
see that. I can see. So the that since you bring the warlord system being abolished, there's one person and everybody. Let's say they're all fodder. That's fine. There's one person on that list that stands out from the rest, which is Mihawk.
right,
What the fuck did they create that can replace the best swordsman in the world? The guy who
I
can cut ships from a mile away just by slashing his sword. You know?
here's my thing. I when they said we have a system that can replace the warlords, I don't think they meant. And I'm not saying anything you said is arguing against this. I'm just saying literally. I don't think that they meant to say that we have something that can replace Mihawk. I think that they were saying Mihawk isn't a lapdog to them. They barely actually get anything out of Mihawk. So what he's worth to them, what in the terms of what he does, could be equal to the new power he created. Now, if Mihawk were a lapdog for the Marines, I at that point I don't think that they could have said, okay, we've got something to replace this.
I see.
But because Mihawk doesn't bring much to the table for the Marines as it is, he doesn't jump if they say jump. If there's a giant war and his ability to relax at his leisure is on the line, then he's like, okay, I'll show up for this giant war. But if they're like, yo, Mihawk, you go here, you do this, and you report back to us, Mihawk's gonna be like, fuck you, whatever. So, but I think that what they're bringing to the table now has the ability to replace what they were getting from Mihawk and the others. I don't think that they're going to straight up replace what Mihawk can bring to the table in terms of power. No one can. I mean, he's the world's strongest swordsman, for Christ's sakes. He's clashing with Shanks.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think they're abolishing the warlord system because Mihawk isn't a lapdog, and for the ones who are a lapdog, they're not getting that much out of them because they don't bring that much to the table in terms of power.
Also, I think every single Chichibukai has abused the system. I mean, I think the worst one was obviously Blackbeard, but
Yeah,
right behind Blackbeard you have Law. Law abused the system very, very much.
it was
Um,
easy. Oh, Doflamingo, I would even say I would, but Doflamingo might even be in front of Blackbeard. Sure, what Blackbeard did was horrible, but Doflamingo was
yeah.
just straight up, just I mean, just straight up violating the warlord system and what it was supposed to be in
You still
theory.
have Crocodile that did the same thing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
I
great
completely
example.
understand the abolishing of the system. I actually have a theory on this channel where I talked about that. I talked about they have to abolish. I remember reading uh when I was all the way in Marineford, and when I saw Hancock not fighting Luffy, and how obvious, because even Smoker made a comment to it, I was like, they have to abolish the system. There's literally a war going on right now, and they're just sitting there. Don Flamingo didn't do shit. Um, Don Flamingo tried recruiting Crocodile
I
during
would, I yeah,
in front of the
yeah,
fucking Marines. This
yeah,
motherfucker had the
yeah.
like audacity to recruit in front of them. So I think that the system was flawed from the beginning. I don't think it was ever going to work. I mean, even all the way down to uh Jimbei. Jimbei abused the system. He's the reason Arlong's out. You know?
Not only that, I even if you remove all that, let's say Doflamingo was falling in line. Let's say Jinbei was falling in line. The fact that at least 50 of their men were straight up turned to stone by Boa is
Yeah.
enough to just drop the whole thing.
Yep. I
I
think.
mean, they literally had people that died uh, intentionally
Yep.
because of Boa.
Yeah. I think that Mihawk going after Luffy. That right away as a Marine, I would have been like, all right, clearly there's something sus here. There's no way Buggy. I mean, based on name, Buggy to them is probably higher than Mihawk, but realistically, or not Diamond, Vista
Yeah.
versus Mihawk, and then letting Luffy escape. I'm like, all right, clearly something's wrong here. Like, there's a lot of times in this war where a warlord could have easily been charged with treason, essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
Mainly, like you said, I think Hancock's the biggest culprit. She literally is the reason that Luffy got into Impel Down in the first place. Um, I think that once these things get announced publicly, they're fucked. Um, More than they are now, because the good thing about this is we're gonna get to see the bounties of these warlords that are
Yeah, they're
on
gonna
the
be
frozen.
unlocked.
Yeah, and now I'm excited to see that. I'm excited to actually see what how much damage can these warlords do outside of like not working for the government, because before this they had to be very coy and hide all their actions. Now they no longer have to do this. Now they can. Ideally, Mihawk's not going to do anything, but then you have people like Hancock, for example, who now she can just be herself. She doesn't have to like abide by their rules. And keep in mind that when Luffy, when she got picked up for the war, uh, and Momonga was the one there, she killed half the men that Momonga had in his ship.
Yeah,
He had to stab himself in the hand to not fall for her.
yeah.
Which, by the way,
I'm
it
sure
shows a
there was a
weakness.
I'm sure there was a big meeting about that after the war. Like, hey, can we sit down for a second? I actually had to stab myself in the hand
Exactly.
because Boa wiped out half my crew. They're like, what do you mean? He's like, no, no, I'm not kidding. Like, look at my hand. Boa Hancock wiped out half of my crew for no fucking reason. I thought they were on our side, and they're like, yeah, I don't know what happened, but yeah, absolutely. Like, that's all reasons to just drop that shit if you're the Marines. Like, forget this.
Especially because a lot of these. So I think the biggest mistake they did was putting two supernovas as warlords right away. Uh, because Blackbeard and Law did not do anything to help save face at all. Blackbeard literally got the worst of the worst from Impel Down. Uh, the way that Law, because they never show you the flashback, they just tell you about it. The fact that Law brought 100 hearts of pirates to the Marine,
And they didn't even question it.
yeah, like he's like, because my first thing's like, how do we know he's not going to do that to us? It's just the system seems flawed, but now obviously Fujitora is against that system. So now I'm very excited to see
And I also
what the next
think
step is.
I also think it was halfway them not knowing what else they could depend on as well. Because if you think about it, like they were saying, like you have the Marines, you have the Warlords, and you have the Yonko, and these three create balance. Maybe not necessarily balance in terms of everything is good, but balance in terms of the Marines and can't grow that much. The Warlords are held to an extent because if they step out of line, then they can't be warlords anymore. And
Yeah,
finally, the Yonko can't just show up and obliterate the Marines because at the very least they've got their three admirals and seven
yeah,
warlords who still want to be warlords. But so I think during the time leading up until now, it might have just been a case of the Marines being like, "This is awful, but I'm not sure what else we can do." and and then with recent times developing of Vegapunk being like, "Look, this is what we got." And I just want to comment real quick. I still can't fully understand how Vegapunk is dead on with the Marines. Everything about his personality says that it should all just be a facade.
yeah,
So I'm not exactly sure what's up with that, but I have to acknowledge the fact that he is in fact doing things for the Marines. Like he did change Kuma, and there may
yeah,
be a secret pact between him and Kuma. That was also a thread that was led on to, but
yeah,
um, long story short, he's giving technology to the Marines. He's giving information to the Marines. So to an extent, he is on their side, regardless of even if it is a facade. And with him giving them tools like here's an artificial devil fruit that is basically close to the real thing, and here I've taken this guy who was a warlord and turned him to a walking weapon. And with those kinds of things, I think now the Marines are fine. Like, you know what? Maybe we don't have to just say it is what it is anymore. Maybe we can just say this is what it is now.
yeah.
And yeah,
I like that a lot. I like the idea of because I learned that the Marines aren't necessarily bad guys. At least Akainu. Akainu, at the end of the day, Marine Corps is filled with pirates. If you're a pirate, you're doing things the wrong way. Akainu is just doing his job very well. Akaino's doing overtime at Marine Ford, essentially.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think Akainu is a bad guy. I think Akainu is blinded by doing the right thing. And I think that I think Akainu and Blackbeard are gonna have the saddest two backstories for One Piece.
I'm gonna say Aikainu's a bad guy, but he's not an evil guy. I'll say that he's not evil in the sense like I know he doesn't want to see any women and children hurt.
Yeah,
Versus someone on the pirate side who's like fuck women and children. I'm.
yeah,
It's all about what I want, and Akainu is like get these women and children out of here to safety. I'm about to kill everyone here. Like so it's
yeah,
so I could totally see. I think that he is a bad guy in the sense that he literally melted a marine just because he didn't want to be there, but he was so
oh, my
believing in
apologies.
his sin. Say again.
Sorry, I sneezed. I said
Oh no,
my
you're good.
apologies.
But I do believe he's not an evil guy, which is what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't think, and same thing with Kizaru. I think Kizaru's just there to get a paycheck. Um, and Fujitora, for sure, is not a bad guy. And
No, no way. Yeah, I would even say yeah, he's not bad or evil. He's definitely good.
then we have Aokiji, who I never thought Aokiji was also a bad guy. I think Aokiji was doing his job. There is one
I
mystery.
think yeah,
Go ahead.
I think he's on his facade shit right now too. I
Yeah,
think it's all you know you know what I'm trying to say. He
yeah.
could very well be with the not the SSG the shit that Law was it was the secret shit that they were doing, basically Black Ops CIA shit.
Thor.
Say again? Sword. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Certain shit's just escaping me. Sorry, chat. It's very possible that Aokiji's just working for Sword,
yeah,
and Blackbeard may even know, like, okay, I don't think I can trust this guy, but but if he is going to at least fake some things, maybe I can manipulate him far enough and to get what I want, and then just get rid of him at the end there. Sort of in the sense that I don't know if any of you were watching My Hero, but the Paranormal Liberation Front was like,
Yeah.
we don't think we can trust Hawks, but at the very least, we can manipulate what he will do for us. So I think it's sort of the same energy there.
Yep.
I think that Aokiji isn't really with Blackbeard. I think Blackbeard is smart enough to know that Aokiji probably is gonna double cross him or whatever. But he's like, maybe he is of use for me until he does double cross me, and I'm smart enough to know when I'm going to be double crossed, and I'll avoid that.
They'll be able to bounce back easier. Yeah. Um. So on that note, we still have one more, which is Green Bull, and Oda has done a beautiful job not mentioning him, not showing him, not
Yeah, it's
alluding
been
to him.
crazy.
Yeah. So we've been through the last time he was mentioned. It was 3 arcs ago, and he was mentioned just Rosa, so that's more than 3 arcs. And no, that was 3 arcs. Yeah, he was mentioned 3 arcs ago. We have not heard anything. We know he's at the Reverie. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we know.
I mean, yeah, I'm really glad you brought him up because I had not forgotten about him in the sense that he wasn't important, but I completely forgot about him being one of the mysteries. Like, who is this Green Bull guy?
Yeah.
Mr. Morge, who on YouTube, who I actually, I'm not hating on him, but I just think he has some very ridiculous theories. I don't think Green Bull is Zoro's dad.
No.
I don't know why that's going around. I personally just can't see it. I think it's a
The
bit too
popular theory I
contrived.
see for Green Bull is that it's either A, Kuina. Do you know who that is?
I can't remember.
Zoro's friend who fell down the stairs and died.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people are really hoping that it's that one. And the other one, it's was it Dawn? No. Who has the bison devil fruit? From Alabasta.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those are the two people that, like, when you look around, they're the number one, like, suspects on basically, like, who could be Green Bull. Um I think it'll be very, like, it'll be cool if we had a, like, some type of earth user, like an earthbender kind of thing,
Yeah.
or devil fruit user, since we had light and we had magma, we had ice. So if Oda wants to keep the tradition, and I
Yeah,
mean,
that'd be cool.
I know he broke it with Fujitora, but if he had another Logia, it'll be pretty cool.
I mean, Gravity was a great addition. Even if it wasn't
Yeah.
in line, Gravity was a great addition. I gotta
Yep.
admit. Let's see. You got what are some main things? Well, Green Bull. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and throw my very first theory out there.
Ooh.
This is my very first theory, and it almost falls in line with his name. No one in the history of One Piece has ever had a plant devil fruit. I know that's crazy because it's like, what would plants do? But no one in the history of One Piece has had a devil fruit that manipulates flora, fauna, whatever you
So
want to call it.
I have a theory video that talks about it was me taking suggestions from people
Uh-huh.
and on what Green Bull, who or what Green Bull is, and one of them was that he was a Venus flytrap. So
Okay, that I think that falls in line with his name, sort of green,
yeah.
and then the bull could represent being strong.
Yep.
We know a lot of times when you translate from Japanese to English, it goes very literally, but it's not supposed to go that literally. Maybe the true translation for green bull is just straight up green and strength,
Yeah.
and that gets translated to some type of, you know, green bull anyway. And so I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there that I think I don't know how fauna could be strong in the sense like, okay, you get hit with magma, you're obviously taking an L there. You get hit with a meteorite, you're taking an L there. Someone kicks you at almost the speed of light, you're taking an L there. Someone freezes you, you're taking an L there. I'm not sure how getting hit with plants is going to make you take an L,
Well,
but
think about being white beer strong, for example, but
mhm.
having the healing properties of somebody like Mimosa from Black Clover.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So then you have the physical strength to clap your enemies and fold them, but you also have the ability to heal yourself and keep yourself healthy.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that, or maybe even as well. It's somewhat similar to the flower fruit, where like he can do different things, and obviously he's strong enough to disperse his hockey amongst the things that he grows.
Yeah.
He might be able to flower vines around someone and bind them, and normally they would be able to break out of that, but maybe he can coat his bindings with hockey as well. Who knows? But I could totally see that. Then I mean that would be one small way to use that, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that OP, but nonetheless, it is a way.
By the way, fun fact, a lot of people know this. Shanks and Blackbeard are the same age, around the same age. A lot of people
Yeah,
don't know this. Let me look
I
it
don't
up.
think I don't think I knew that. I if I were to guess, I wouldn't have guessed that Shanks was that much older or younger, but I didn't know they were pretty much around the same age.
Yeah, Shanks is 39, and then you have. Because I remember that we had that flashback with the one where they make the comment about he never sleeps.
Yeah, I remember that.
Ooh, I have a juicy theory that I'm working on about that. Yeah, Blackbeard's actually older. He's 40.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I actually have a
yeah,
theory.
no, the only reason why he's supernova is because he came up at the same time with the rest of them.
Yeah. Uh, so I think Blackbeard has three souls in him. The symbolism, you can actually have a theory on my, you can see it on my channel. I don't talk about this aspect of the theory, but I do talk about the aspect in, as in, let me click on the video.
That's a well supported theory in the
Yeah.
sense that other people also agree with that line of thinking, and not only that, the thing that supports that line of thinking, other people have said, I'm not recalling this, I'm not coming up with this on my own. He has the three skulls on his ship.
Yep. So
Um,
I did a video. It was 6 years ago, where I talk about um, he has the first of all, he's based his character's already weird because he's based on Edward Teach, which is the real life pirate. But
yeah,
in One Piece, Oda broke him into three characters. He broke him into Thatch, which is the different pronunciation of Teach. You have Teach, and then you have Whitebeard, which is the other, which is the Edward Newgate, whatever. Um, Blackbeard actually shares a name with three characters, which is very interesting. His ship has the three skulls to signify,
I
uh,
firmly believe Zebek is wrapped up in there somewhere. I don't know how.
I'm glad you said that because I think so too.
Saber, I mean, you just can't have a name like Saber of Zebek and not be so coincidental. I refuse to see that. I refuse to see Oda write that kind of contrived shit
Uh,
into there. Or like, oh yeah, the names just happen to match. It's the name of his ship and the name of one of the most powerful pirates to ever live.
yep.
Yeah, it just so happens. And I'm like, no, don't do that.
You also have he carries three rings, and he carries four rings, but only three of them have gems on them.
Hmm.
And he carries three guns. Uh, and I hate bringing this up, but he's missing three teeth. It's a weird one. That's more of a cosmetic thing. But
No,
I learned
that
that
the
Oda
Oda.
likes to play around.
No, he does because what's his name? Newgate. His birthday is on January, February, March, April 6th. I think. I can't remember, but if I remember correctly, I think his birthday is like April 6th, which is 4/6, and then Whitebeard. I may have my characters mixed up, but I'm pretty sure Whitebeard in terms of kanji, which is Japanese written language,
Yeah.
it can be a play on his kanji can be a play on word for 46. So just trying to say that Oda does do stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
no. Oh, Oda has played numbers before because he did
right,
uh gear third. There's a number thing with gear second and gear third. I can't remember what it was. I think the
okay,
numbers were flipped in the chapter in which Luffy unlocks each. But we also have Shanks also has three scars just to add to the number that Blackbeard gave him. So the number three,
yeah.
uh, it becomes very like synonymous when it comes to um Blackbeard himself. I generally think that in some way, shape, or form, Blackbeard might be either related to Sabak. The son of Sabak might be in some way, shape, or form. Uh, he has to be related in some way, shape, or form, whether it's by blood or maybe raised by him. Maybe he absorbed. Maybe when Sebek died, the soul went to Blackbeard for whatever reason.
True.
Blackbeard had knowledge of a devil fruit, which is something we never seen in the show before, by the way. Uh, we haven't seen
He
a
was
character.
waiting on it. I mean, it was
Yep.
a whole plot. Like it was like his soul. It was like somebody read to him every night as a
Yeah.
bedtime story.
And you know what I'm thinking?
And
I'm getting William vibes from Black Clover.
say that again.
I'm getting William vibes from Black Clover.
Huh. That would that would be like there's somebody else in there living and telling
Yeah.
him what to do. Yeah, yeah.
Because when they said that that kid's weird, he hasn't slept in 3 days. I'm like, what if he's switching between like the personas he has? What if
That's
one
very
of them
true.
could be one of them, assuming one of them is Sabek, and I'm like, Cheeky was just as bad, by the way. And in the canon, we know Cheeky exists because they named him, they name dropped him. Uh, so and for me, I think Blackbeard might have Sabek, and he might have Cheeky, and then there's himself, and I think that's why he's so knowledgeable. He knew about the Sky Islands. He was Blackbeard is very knowledgeable about things that you're
He
like,
shouldn't have been.
yeah. Other than being in Whitebeard's crew, he is way too knowledgeable, and the
It
fact that he
it
knew about the Yami Yami Nomi, it's insane to me.
there's simply I'm gonna actually have to end it with this particular topic because my life is rough right now and I have to get up
Yep.
at 6 a.m. and my bedtime is within 3 hours from now.
All right.
Um, but as I was about to say, there's just reiterating and elaborating as well. There's just no way that one man can know about all of these things. The only people to ever know about Sky Island straight up are Whitebeard, which I don't think he went telling his crew about Sky Island, and the only reason why he found out was because Roger spoke with him.
Yeah.
And then you had Odin, who couldn't have told Blackbeard because he left Whitebeard's crew to go over to Roger's crew and then went to Sky Island from
Yep.
there. Um, there's just no way that he could have found out about all these things. Like I can't see it. And even when Luffy and the gang were trying to turn up information about Sky Island from the surrounding islands that were around Sky Island to begin with, before it was shot up by the stream, um, they didn't know anything about it. And with that being said, there's just no way for one person to know all that info. I just don't buy it.
I completely agree. All right, guys, we're gonna stop right here. We'll be bringing you more Captain's Log. The format will change a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. Anybody watching, make sure to go to my main channel, Game of Honor Show, Ahoy Princeton. Nova Wise, are you Nova Wise on everything?
My host name is Novawise, but guys, if you don't mind typing in Vibe-matic onto YouTube, it's all one word, VIBEMATIC. You will see a copy of this stream as well over on my end. If you feel like subscribing, that's great. If not, that's cool too. I appreciate you guys just listening to us.
Yep. All right, guys, we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.